All right, moving right along here. So we close that. So we reparametrized the bays, and so now we're going to do some louver construction. And in order to do that, we essentially are going to take the same method of breaking down all of the bays vertically, and we're going to do that now horizontally on all of our newly created subdivided surfaces, right? All 5 of them. And that is essentially another, you guessed it, subdivide surface. You guys getting a trend here, right? You just kind of break it down, reconstruct it, break it down, reconstruct it. Happens all the time. So the cool thing with panelization is I just copy this over and reconnect now from, whoops, made an error. From this surface, just reconnect your surface inputs for both of those. And you can hide that surface and then show your newly subdivided surfaces. But you do not, you probably do not, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, that should be fine. I don't know why these are coming out in groups. Flatten it. That's odd. Hang on a sec. This should probably, yeah, there you go. Okay, sorry. I missed some. Yeah, we need to graft it. So what happened was, guys, sorry, I was thinking through something. What happened was the subdivide surface is getting fed in as 5 individual surfaces. Right, so they go in here, 5 individual surfaces. But what happens is the segments come out as 5 individual surfaces that are packaged into groups of 5. So that means it essentially comes out with 25 different subdivisions. And so essentially what we want to do instead is graft the 5 surfaces that are coming out into a list. Let me show you. So 5 individual surfaces, when we graft it, then become 5 lists of 1 surface, which will directly apply to, the reason we did that down here, it will directly apply to our subdivision requirements. We have 5 lists of subdivisions. Does that make sense? Why they don't match up? I'm not getting any confirmations here, guys. So let me put it to you this way. Back here, there's 1 surface being fed in. So 1 surface feeds into the subdivision, and you get 5 subdivision values. It gets subdivided, or rather remapped back onto a surface and cuts it into those 5 pieces. So that's how we got our 5 original surfaces that you see here. When you do it again, ignore the fact that that's a subsurface, but we gave it a surface. In fact, we gave it 5 surfaces. So when the 5 surfaces get broken down into 25 individual segments, you plug that back into subdivide surface right up here. So now you've got 5 packs of 5 divisions, but you've got 5 individual lists. And so what happens is you have an individual list of 5 surfaces, and so it tries to take all 5 groups of the divided surfaces with 25 and remap it back into each one in that list. So it's just re-looping too many times. So when you graft it, it makes it pair up 5 individual surfaces to 5 individual subdivision parameters. Does that make sense? I think that's helpful. I know it's hard to visualize, but just know that you need to try and match up your lists by grafting and flattening. You'll get used to it. So anyway, so we've got these subdivisions, but they're not right? They're vertical right now. I want them to be horizontal. So I'll swap my U count down to 1, and I'll increase my V count to something that's going to be, reasonable for louvers. Sure, 10 looks fine for now. Yeah, 10 looks okay for now. And Okay. So what's going to happen here is when I deconstruct the individual, deconstruct it into individual panels, and then I deconstruct those individual panels into edges, and I select the edge. So it's pretty much a recycle of what we did up here. So let's walk through that real fast. I'm going to go to Surface, Analysis, Deconstruct BREP. And then I can grab my faces and deconstruct those, or I can select using select edges. So let's go to Set and List and List Item to select the edges. And we'll go from 0 to 3 because they have 4 edges. So now if I hover over, or if I select the list item and then change my index value, you can see the green selection switching from the bottom of my panels to the side of my panels to the top of my panels to the other side of my panels. So what we should be considering is whether or not selecting only the bottom side of my panels is acceptable. So we have you know, the bottom one selected here, which is good because it's going to block some of the sunlight at the bottom of my glazing. However, up here, that louver is not being selected. Theoretically, I don't think it's important to have that one because we have the very deep horizontal shade that we constructed around it. Is that making sense? If you need to, it's a little bit of a different process to get it, but it's close enough. Okay, so we're going to go with these and use those to generate our actual louver surfaces. So we're going to have to extrude them. We're going to have to grab our surface normal in order to do that. So if I go back up to our definition before, the surface normal construction, I can copy again the entire, I'm going to copy the entire segment here, and then grab the extrude, and that should be enough. And I'll pull it down here where I can begin to replace my connections. So I know that I need to grab the surface closest point off of my subdivide surface, which is these right here. So I'll plug my subdivided surfaces into the G, the S, and then we have the extrusion itself, which is going to be my edges. And notice how, and now we're getting into lists again, guys. Notice how it's really, really dark. Am I losing you a little bit? Should I pause for a moment for you to get caught up? All right, so get to this point, and then I'll start talking about why it's so dark. And I'll clean it up for you too.